And we are live now. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Tuition Tuesday. And I'm loving what we are doing here in our group. I'm loving what we are doing here in the group. And, you know, today we are going to be talking a little bit around the subject of selling with soul. But before I kind of get into that, we do have our special hot seat guest with us tonight. And we've got the beautiful Deborah Bowers, who is going to come on and tell us a little bit more about who she is, what she does, how we met. And of course, the reason why I bring these wonderful women on is so that they can showcase their businesses and you can learn all about what they do and how perhaps their skills, their expertise can also help you in your business as well. All right, so let me just check on the Facebook group just to see who we've got tuning in to us tonight as well. All right, and if you are tuning into this, I want you to get in there, hit that share button right now, invite your friends, because we're doing things very, very differently over here right now. We are streaming from YouTube, and it's all going really well. So yes, get your friends here over to the channel so they can tune in to the live as well. All right, so tonight's subject, first and foremost, because I do like to keep up with obviously giving you some value on this channel, okay? And of course, those of you who are listening from the regular Facebook group as well. And you know, we've just wrapped up a series of talking all things around high ticket coaching. And we did a poll, and the next subject in the queue was all to do with how to sign on new clients, i.e. selling, all right, and looking at the sales cycle and what that might look like for you as an individual. And I know that this is the number one fear, one of the number one fears, if you like, really, of women entrepreneurs online today. It's really how they can actually tell people about their products and services without feeling salesy, and of course, being afraid to even ask for the money. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, do you know what, Netty, that sounds just like me. I've got this fear, or I've got this feeling about me every time I think about asking for the sale or going in to tell somebody about what it is that I do, then I want you to put a little comment for me below this video to say, yes, that's me. Okay. And tonight I'm literally just going to bring you one tip, actually, one of the main core subjects from the series. It's probably a 5 or 6 week series that I'm going to bring to you. And I want to really just share with you from one element of it. Okay. So let me just get up my notes. And the key thing that I guess the key thing I want to leave with you on this, or start with rather, is talking about you having the ability to face the challenge. And what I mean by facing the challenge, it's overcoming that feeling of, oh, I can't talk about my business, or overcoming that feeling that I cannot ask for the sale. All right. And the key to, you know, turning those potential clients into paying customers is actually consisting of a few things. Number one, of course, you have to have the confidence. That's the first thing. You've got to be able to build your confidence up and really overcome the fear of it causing you so much anxiety, overcome that feeling of discomfort that I know so many entrepreneurs, so many solo entrepreneurs, and, you know, female coaches really do struggle with. Now, if you are tuning into this and you don't know who the hell I am, okay, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Netty Bryan, and I am the founder of Power Up Coaching Academy. And we are the #1 money and faith breakthrough academy for female entrepreneurs and coaches. And what we do here is we train, we edify, we equip, and we release you into the marketplace, okay? And where you are able to create your own expert signature system that you can actually transition or turn into multiple streams of income. I also run another movement called the Miracle Money Breakthrough Movement, a part of the money coaching aspect. And that aspect is really designed to help women everywhere understand their relationship to money so that they can actually synchronize their spiritual and their financial destinies. And actually, this is really quite nice today speaking about this, because our guest is going to talk all things around what it looks like to do with money, but in a different aspect tonight. And I won't share right now because I don't want to give away the nuggets that she's going to bring for you. So if you are new to me, welcome and thank you so much for tuning in. So, we're talking about selling with soul. We're talking about selling with soul and actually how to not feel salesy during a sales call. And one of the most important things that I believe that, any person that's kind of looking to start a business or is transitioning maybe from a different role in corporate and you're having to kind of get into being the CEO of your own company, you need to get good at sales. That's paramount, okay? I know that there is the ability to offer this service out to maybe a VA or get yourself your own team in. But one of the things that I would encourage you to do is to really try to work with overcoming this yourself, because really sales is the lifeblood of any business. So the important thing here is that you've got to face your challenge of turning your prospects into paying clients. And the way that you do that is to really try and get over the imposter syndrome. And it really starts in the mindset. Everything to do with this really does start with the mindset, right? So some of you might be sitting there thinking, but Netty, it might be good for you. You're a professional public speaker. You've been in front of the camera. You've talked to lots of people. You used to work in sales and market research and all of these professions. And yes, that's helpful. But guess what? I started somewhere. I never had all of these skills that I acquired. So what that shows me is that even if it's a challenge for you right now, when you work with the right person to support you, to help you, this skill can be attained. And if you agree with that, I'd like for you to just pop in the comments the word agree. So you've got to literally pull yourself out of the comfort zone, because oftentimes we can get quite comfortable in doing what we're doing. We can get quite comfortable in doing all of the tasks that don't actually require us to do any selling. I'm talking about marketing. I'm talking about being creative. I'm talking about all of those other things that actually moves you away from actually running your business and building your business on profit. And we've got Deborah, she's saying, yes, she agrees in the comments. But we've got to get better at putting ourselves forward so that we are not missing out and leaving money on the table, so that we're not missing out and serving, people out there who are waiting for us. So one of the things that we need to look at is, what is it that we are fearful of? What is it that we're worried about? Is it that we're worried about maybe what other people think of us? What's stopping you from actually selling? And these are some questions that you will need to do to examine where you are right now, okay? And you need a system, of course, for selling. You've got to have a system for selling. So every time that, you go out to do something fresh and something new, it always takes a process and it always takes a system, okay? Number two, it is about building your confidence. And I know that, not a lot of you feel comfortable about selling, and that's quite okay. But this is the strategy that I want you to take on board that helped me many years ago when I was exactly in those shoes. And it was to think about a purchase where you had a great sales experience, right? So I want you to think about a purchase where you went into a shop, you maybe bought something online and you thought, you know what, this was a really good sale and it actually made you feel good. And the thing I want you to focus on serving and then the people will actually buy from you. So if you focus on serving and not so much on the selling part of it, and you attach that emotional feeling that made you feel good when somebody reciprocated when you bought something, if you attach that memory to it, trust me, it becomes so much easier. All right. And then the third thing I want to leave with you is you have to also commit to changing. Because if you are truly going to be, that outstanding entrepreneur online in this day and age, you're going to have to stand out. But you're also going to have to commit to changing that. Because if you allow the fear of, being salesy, the fear of stepping out, the fear of picking up the telephone, in fact, stop you, then the sad truth is that your business is going to come to a grinding halt. The good news, my lovelies, is that you can actually change this around by actually mastering the 5 things that I am going to bring to you over the next few weeks. And the first major key in this one is actually overcoming mindset blocks and barriers about selling. All right. So you might want to write that down. Overcoming mindset blocks and barriers about selling. And I'm just going to take this from a higher perspective first and foremost. And what I'm going to say to you is selling is not a sin. Okay. Selling is not a sin. Okay. You won't die from selling either. You won't offend anybody by selling. At least the person who's looking to connect with you, who perhaps is waiting for you to actually share your service with them, they're probably going to say to you, once you decide to get to that point and overcome these worries and fears, is, where have you been? I wish that I had found you before. When I very first started doing this, do you know the amount of times people said to me, oh my goodness, Netty, I wish I had found you earlier. And the thing is, I can't get upset about that, because the problem was me not making myself visible. The problem was me not putting myself out there. So it is something that you're going to have to learn to do bit by bit, and gradually, trust me, your confidence will grow, because these are, mental hurdles that might include your potential thought process that tell you, what if that potential client says no? And I just want to just spin that thought around and say to you, what if they don't? What if that wasn't an issue? What if that was never a problem for you? Okay. How easy would it be for you to actually then pick up the phone, get on that call, and actually start telling people about how you can serve them? That would be so much easier, right? And it is a strategy. Everything that we do is absolutely a strategy, okay? And then the next thing is, I want you to also consider or realize that even when you do get a no, or that rejection from that call, please don't take it personal, because it isn't personal. They don't mean to say no to you. They don't intend to upset you or cause you harm by saying no. No doesn't mean no forever. And that's one statement, that my mentor told me. If somebody says no to you, it doesn't mean no forever. It might just mean not right now. It might just mean they need to sort a few things out, or it might just mean that they're stuck in another program and they need some time to actually free themselves from that, finish that program, and then maybe later on they can connect with you. And besides that, what can you learn? If you do happen to get a no, what can you learn from that specific experience? And there's one thing that I do in my business. I actually always go back and listen to my recordings, because I ask for permission to record the call when I'm going through discovery calls for my own training and development. And that is one key thing that you can do, because trust me, you will always find nuggets in there of where you can actually start to make changes and make improvements. So that's really what I wanted to leave with you for this week. And I'm going to give you a bit of a task. Okay, I'm just going to give you a bit of a task here. Now, I want you to think about, do you get a bad feeling when you actually think about selling? So I'm tapping into the emotion right now of selling. And I want you to put in the comments for me, whether you're watching this live or whether you're picking it up on the replay. Do you actually get a bad feeling, that icky feeling, when you think about having to sell something? Do you feel dread? Are you filled with trepidation? Are you filled with fear or worry? What's the emotion that you attach to it when you start thinking about this? Okay. And then I want you to pop in the comments for me the second part of the question, which is, what part of it actually gives you that feeling? All right. So that's what I got for you tonight, my lovelies, on the first part of Sell with Soul, how to turn your potential prospects into paying clients. And I'd love to hear, your comments, of course, about what you thought about today. And if you are new to us, again, I'd love for you to like and subscribe and definitely share this. All right. Okay. So now we are going to move on into the next part of tonight. I'm just going to check into the comments and see who we have on Facebook with us tonight. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So we've got a few people tuned in. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. All right, my lovelies, are you ready for us to move into our second part of our program tonight, which is bringing on our hot seat guest? So I would love for you to help me welcome the lovely Deborah Bowers. The lovely Deborah Bowers, okay? And she is a phenomenal woman. I met this woman, let me just tell you a little bit about her. I met this woman about maybe 3 years ago, perhaps, I think now. And we first met at a seminar, and we've been disconnected actually for a little while. And it was just recently that she sort of came, she joined our group, and I was very excited to actually learn about what it is that she does and what she does right now, which I know every single person who is running a business will definitely want to hear from Deborah tonight. So I want you to help me to welcome Deborah in our hot seat for tonight. Welcome, Deborah. Yay.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you for having me on tonight. It is a hot seat for me indeed.
Deborah, you are so welcome. And I love what she's just put in the comments. She says, I want to meet the customer's needs. Absolutely agree on that one. So Deborah, thank you so much for sitting in our hot seat. We've also got MJ on live with us tonight behind the scenes. Thank you, MJ. And she is our regular resident. I love it. She is our resident person. And hopefully, you know, these screens will start to grow and I'll see lots more of you eventually when we develop this, okay? So Deborah, my lovely, thank you for taking up the offer of coming in and being our hot seat guest tonight. And really, it's all about learning about, you know, you, your business, what it is that you can bring to the table. So why don't you tell our audience, you know, tonight what it is that you actually do?
I'm a solicitor of England and Wales, and I also write wills and books. So I practice or focus on data protection and telecommunications law. But I've also started writing about the academics in a simple format so that people, everyday people, can understand it. So I thought I could provide that service to everyday people. And so recently, my most recent book is one about wills and inheritance tax, because I felt that so many people did not understand the link between inheritance tax and will writing, especially during the pandemic. So many people started simply contacting me, can I help them in relation to writing their will, and to explain to them how inheritance tax works with will writing. So what can they do to ensure that they avoid this 40% tax, which is charged at death? Your assets are up to a certain amount. As a result of which, I decided during the pandemic, since we were in lockdown, there was nowhere to go, nothing to do. I wrote this book here.
Tax efficient will. I love it. I love it.
How to write a tax efficient will.
Yes.
So this book then became a bestseller on Amazon in tax law and will writing. And it's how to write a tax efficient will.
Brilliant, brilliant. And Deborah, it's such an important subject matter, and especially for people in particular who have been, you know, so used to being employed, but now have transitioned into running their own business, because in particular the women's entrepreneur sector has plummeted and will continue to plummet. So I think it's a really important subject, you know, that we all need to have some kind of knowledge on, because hands up, really, how many of you actually thought about writing your will, let alone writing a tax efficient will? You know, you know, it's not something that actually springs to the forefront of our minds as entrepreneurs, because most of the time the things and the buzz that we're hearing is, well, how do I sign on new clients? How do I start my online business? How do I do my marketing? How do I get sales? How do I do my branding? I don't think I've ever heard anybody ask me the question, so how can you tell me as a business coach, Netty, how to write a tax efficient will? Never. You know, so it's something that I think is really very important for us to realize that we have to add it in as one of those things that we're checking off on our list when we actually start our business. Would you agree with that, Deborah? Is it something that we should have it borne in mind at the start of our business rather than waiting until the end?
Definitely, because anyone can write a will. That's the thing with will writing. once you follow the formalities, it becomes a valid will. But many people don't know how to structure it, and they want it structured properly. So what I
Mm-hmm.
actually did in the book is actually set out the wills for you, the entire thing from beginning to end. And it's all based on the life of a fictitious person called
Mm.
Jane. You know, we're all born, we're free, we're single, we become adults, we get into relationships, we get married, we get divorced. And all through the book, whatever Jane goes through,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
write out the will for you.
Beautiful.
So people find that aspect of it very, very good, because they can simply take, copy word for word if their circumstances are the same, or just copy the bits that are applicable to them.
Mm.
And at the end of the book as well, I give you the will writing challenge. I invite you, I put in the bits that could, how it would fit, and I invite you to just fill in the gaps so that you can see what your will would look like if you just wanted to fill in the gaps.
That is amazing. That sounds like, a whole signature system. That sounds like, everything done for you type of service that you've done there within that book. Is that right, Deborah?
That is correct.
Awesome. So literally I could pick up your book and know exactly where to start, how to go through it, and then obviously have a tax efficient will with your templates. I'm assuming there's templates and everything within that. That is absolutely awesome. Now, I know that your book is on Amazon right now as well, isn't it?
It is, yes.
It is, it is, it is.
Audio and paperback as well as on Kindle.
Okay, so it's on Amazon Kindle. I've got the Kindle version of it. And admittedly, I haven't read the whole thing yet, and I'm yet to go through it all. But I know now you've told me that there's templates and there's all this information that I can actually go in and start to pan out, what mine will look like. I'm really looking forward to doing that. So let me just ask you, before you became in the legal profession and as a solicitor, what was your journey to actually getting there? Tell us a little bit about your journey, Deborah.
Well, I've been a solicitor for about 22 years now, so I'm not quite sure, what I did before that.
Well,
Because, I came straight out of A level, and yes, I did work for 3 years, but then it was straight into uni to study law. And it was the writing that was the real journey for me, because I started writing about 10 years ago. But I wrote about motivational things. So you'll see that there are lots of other books in my name on Amazon. Things like The Circle of Love, as I fell in love and out of love and got divorced. So I wrote things to make me feel better, to help me get through it, because I got a bit depressed during that time.
Right.
I then wrote How to Make a Fortune Working from Home, because from that time I started researching how I could make money online. So I wrote that book. And then I wrote The Power is in Your Hands. All these books were designed to help me get over an emotional state where I was going through the downs of having gone through a divorce. But now I find that, having had all that experience, I just thought to myself, why don't I write about my academics? I've got about 2, 3 masters to my name, and so many qualifications, so many years of experience. And I want to help everyday families. I find that there are so many people who just can't get help from the legal system because it's too remote for them.
Yes.
So all my books are written in plain words. There is no complication there at all. And the way it is set out, if you get stuck and you still need my help, you have placed email addresses in there. You can send your work to me and I will correct it. I will have a discussion with you and I will correct it and send it back to you for a small fee. So I've tried to set the book out in a manner which will definitely benefit the customer, and explain it in plain words. There is no word in there that I say. I aim for 10-year-olds.
Good.
And you can understand.
Yes. And that's beautiful. As I was listening to you speak, I'm thinking, wow, any Joe Blogs off of the street, regardless of their literary experience or level, should be able to open up your book, like you say, you mentioned a 10-year-old, so let's go there. A 10-year-old child should be able to open it and make sense of it, from front to back. And that's the thing, sometimes keeping it simple is obviously the best way. Even as adults, we do find certain things that we're not familiar with very complex. And I love the fact that you've made it, in layman's terms, because, working in this kind of profession, you've got quite a lot of jargon. You've got quite a lot of big words, right? And, so that can be quite off-putting, can't it, for the average reader? So it's great that you've actually done that and made it so accessible to all kinds of different markets. And I love the fact that you want to you created your book for the everyday person. And Deborah, you've been clearly an average writer. You've just mentioned a few titles and I'm thinking, wow, love them all. And one thing that stuck out for me in what you just mentioned just now was the fact that you said that you started writing in order to overcome your own emotional challenges. Yeah. All right. And the word journaling came to mind as you were speaking and saying that. So did you start out by journaling your thoughts and journaling your journey, and then did it sort of then transition into actually writing books?
Yes, that is absolutely correct, because I needed to keep myself positive. It was a time in my life when I felt really down and I needed to keep myself positive. So every day I would write something that would help me do something positive. So the key word was do something positive. And that became my motto for each day. And that would include whether or not I was going to take a shower, because I did not feel that I wanted to do that some days.
Sure.
So that became a positive action for the day. And I could give myself a pat on the back and I would journal that. Whether it was to lose a pound or two or go for a walk,
yes,
or go on a photo shoot or do something for myself to make myself feel better. And it really did help me. Or whether or not it was to just write out the irony, write something to make me laugh about the circumstances as they had been, to try to see it from a different perspective.
Yes.
Always to find the positive in whatever the circumstances were. So in every negative circumstance, I always tried to turn it over inside out and find the positive that was in there. So I kept journaling, and that's what, for example, The Circle of Love is about. I mean, it's a book. Of all my books, I really love it, and it was my first book.
Okay, congratulations.
You laugh. If you've ever been in a relationship, that book will make you laugh, because you see yourself in there and what people you have known.
Sounds interesting. Sounds really, really interesting, Deborah.
It's tongue-in-cheek. It's a real tongue-in-cheek sort of, because it was just dealing with my emotions and reflecting them in the writing.
Yeah, no, sounds really beautiful. And I totally concur with what you're saying, because, when I was in my relationship, which wasn't going so well, and it was quite abusive at the time, that's exactly what I used to do. I used to journal. In fact, I've still got every single diary that I wrote in from way back in 1990 something, because that's what we women do. We either talk or we write. Okay. And that's a kind of like a healing process for us. Right. So, it's a beautiful thing that you've actually now turned that into something that the whole world can actually have a world, view into, a lens into your life, And I love the fact that you said it's a bit tongue-in-cheek. So now that's made me want to go up and pick it up and read it. Definitely. So we've got Beatrice on tonight. We've got MJ on behind the scenes. Any questions at all from you ladies on anything that Deborah has mentioned so far? Or any comments that you'd like to make?
I think I have so many comments to make. I'm really pleased that I was able to remember to come today because I nearly forgot. And I think what I'm finding interesting is writing and you having been a lawyer, because my first book, I couldn't publish it as soon as I had written it because I was going to be sued. And my question will be, how do you avoid, because each time I try to write, somebody wants to sue me. And the question is, how can you write and avoid those pitfalls?
Great question, MJ.
Yes, I think that's an excellent question. The thing is, I'm writing from my perspective, and I'm not using anybody's name. Remember, I'm finding the irony, and I'm writing for everyday people. So you must recognize that the situation that you are in, you're not the only one who's ever been there, and you're not the only one who will ever be there. So I don't write as if I am so bitter about something. I make fun of it. So I'm saying, for example, in my one of my books, like The Circle of Love, because I'm being tongue in cheek, I'm saying we all know how to end a relationship, just have an affair, or I make it something funny, or I make it something like when you meet someone for the first time, you are always keeping up with
Up
all the
appearances.
protocols and all the manners. But when you get to know them properly, you fart in bed and things like that, So, but I've written it in a manner that makes you laugh. And it makes you identify yourself in there because you've been through that. So no one's going to sue me, and no one can sue me because I can't say I got it from you, or I got it from you, or I got it from you. It might affect people throughout their life. All these things did not happen to me during the course of my relationship, but I start to think of the world at large and all the possible things that do occur during the course of a relationship, how it shifts. So I call it I describe it like a waterfall. So I have some imagery. It's high when you start, and then it comes down. It comes really low because the waterfall comes from the top and falls to the bottom. So, I use imagery to describe what's going on.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So MJ, does that help you in answering your question?
In a way, yes, but in another way, it's a bit difficult because I tend to write on serious subjects which can be controversial. And sometimes that makes it a bit difficult.
Yes.
And I write about real life situations because my stand is that people do things because they know that nobody's going to do anything about it. But if they know that someone is going to do something about it, then they might think twice about what they are doing. And then the other thing is that, particularly with the experiences of a Black person, some of it you don't talk about it either because you end up carrying the shame which doesn't belong to you. So I feel that sometimes you need to know that someone went through it and survived it.
Yes, yes. I understand exactly what you're saying there. So you are looking more from a perspective of getting legal advice in situations of challenge when addressing very sensitive subject matters. I get it. And as you know, as Deborah was quite rightly saying, her angle is very different, however, she is a trained solicitor, so maybe this might be a joint venture and an offline conversation, between you both. I don't know, Deborah, if you've got any kind of guidance and advice from your perspective that you can actually give to MJ around that and the way that she needs some guidance in this particular situation.
Yes, I would say that if she's dealing with legal matters, then she needs to address them in a legal forum.
Right.
It's not appropriate to address legal matters in a manner which causes disrepute to another person, because these are just they haven't been proven allegations. So if you want to be safe, you should actually sue and go into a legal forum to deal with your allegations. But if you simply want to highlight something that can happen in society, a story, for example, if it's all about genital mutilation or abuse, you can write around the topic to reflect a problem that is within society without actually naming or shaming anyone, because you're writing in a more general sense. But if you're going to have people who can be identified, you may end up being sued for defamation of character and that sort of thing. So you need to go into a legal forum to deal with that, or write around the topic.
Yeah, thank you. That's very interesting. It makes sense to me that you have to address it first so that you can figure out what are the facts and what are not facts. And I've been to so many different types of courts, which is interesting in itself. Now, the other question I had was on wills, writing a will, because what I find, the people I know, is the struggle of deciding when do you give away your things. Do you wait until you're dead, or do you do it while you're still alive to avoid the 40%? And I think with the house, then there's the fear that your children might throw you out because the house now belongs to them.
Interesting question.
There are ways in which you can address these issues. A will is meant to take effect upon your death. So we must start with that in mind. But exactly how much value are you speaking about? At the moment, you can give up to £1 million to your children. So it all depends. You can give a portion during your lifetime, because once you survive 7 years, it doesn't fall within your estate. Or you can simply put your assets into trust, which don't belong to you, but you can benefit from those trusts. So your trustees will attend to your needs. So the assets don't belong to you, neither do they belong to the children. So you don't fall into a situation where you are suffering as a result of having given your assets too early. So it all depends on what you do. And the book actually helps you understand those things, because it goes through the value of the person's assets at the time and what they can do in order to avoid the tax and still maintain themselves. But there is just so much people don't know about these things, and I wanted to write it out so that our people and other people who just cannot get to grips with the legal jargon of that sector, of that industry, the will writing industry and the inheritance tax industry, which to even myself is challenging sometimes, because sometimes some of the calculations you have to do for trust can be pretty taxing, and you need more accountants to deal with them than lawyers. But of course, lawyers and accountants can work together to arrive at the right settlement for you, or financial advisors. So it all depends on the value of your estate.
Okay. Thank you.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much for that very informative information, Deborah. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm learning, of course, and as a business owner and a homeowner as well, there are certain things that we do need to consider and think about and actually put in place, the just in case kind of thing, but also it actually is good financial planning, isn't it? To plan, of course, during your life, but also for what happens to your estate, because I've seen it where people have passed away and, we have had to actually, when I used to work in social care in particular, there's wars over the houses, there's wars over the property, there's wars over this and wars over that. And, the person's not been even in the ground half an hour, so to speak. That's just, out there. So good planning and forward planning, I believe, is essential, because it also removes a lot of the insensitivity around the subject matter, because some people can get very emotional about that. And money is one of the things that people is very emotional, very, very emotional. And, I always say this when I'm doing my money coaching, is how you do money is how you do everything. So, we've got to recognize that it is an important part of our business building, of our life, and so forth, with regards to our children. And legacy is the word that actually comes to mind for me in this. It's about your legacy planning as well. And, Deborah, one thing I want to ask you is, you've written all these wonderful books. And of course, this one is the number one bestseller on Amazon. Is it at the moment, or has been historically, or continues to be?
It's within the bestsellers list, but it was the number one bestseller in tax law.
Fabulous.
Also in Practical Guide to Law, Wills, Practical Guide to Wills. So it was the number one bestseller in those two categories. And it's also within generally the bestsellers list.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
And absolutely,
that's
isn't
really
it?
A big achievement.
Yeah, it's definitely worth, success definitely for that book that you have written there. And I know, as I say, it's a subject matter, that you have to be an expert in order to write about. It's not something that I could just pick up and say, oh, I'm going to write about, wills and taxes. And I'm not a numbers person. I've got an accountant in my family, thank the Lord. So for me, I'm like, just hand it over. And she takes care of everything for me, bless. But everybody has their own unique gift and their talents. And this happens to be your forte, Deborah. So thank you for coming on and sharing a little bit more about this. And for those of you who are really catching the replay, I encourage you to go back, have a listen to it from, the point when Deborah comes on, because there's some really good, juicy nuggets in here that she has shared with us. Okay. Now I'm just going to give opportunity for other people that are on the live tonight. We've got Beatrice and we've got Clarence on tonight as well. Is there any questions that you might have for any of us, but in particular for our hot seat guest, Deborah, around wills and around tax or inheritance tax as well? And you can either let us know in the comments, or you can come on and just say hi. Okay. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Okay, so Deborah, how many hands do you think that your book has? This is kind of like a curveball question. How many hands do you think your book has got into since you actually published? Do you know the answer to this?
I don't quite know the answer to that, but I did have a promotion for 99p about a week ago.
Right.
And this may have enabled it to get to the #1 position. That's probably how I got to the #1 position, because many more people were downloading it. It's also on with Kindle Unlimited.
Right.
It was a free book as well for those who had Kindle Unlimited. It's also in the audiobook. If you are subscribed to audiobook, you pay nothing for it. And tonight, as a special, something special for thanking you for being in your hot seat tonight, I'm going to give away 2 codes. Beautiful. So that you can get the book for free on Audible. So you can listen to it for free on Audible. So I'm going to put them in the. Can I put them in the comments?
You certainly can. And can I just to confirm, which is a beautiful gift, by the way. So is this for everybody that's tuning in tonight, or is this just for me specifically?
There's also a special one for you, but it's just for the persons who are streaming in with us tonight.
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Okay, guys, did you hear that? You can actually get hold of her book tonight. So you need to be tuned in. Is this for live tuning-inners or anybody who does a hashtag replay tax inheritance?
Well, it's only 2 promotion codes.
Okay.
So those who are with us in the chat, I guess, will benefit.
Lovely. So I'm going to call those people out right now. We've got Beatrice, we've got Clarence, we've got MJ, and
if they want it,
let me just pop on to have a look. Need to. Guys, if you're listening to this right now, I'd love for you to put hashtag tax inheritance in the comments to be eligible for getting the access code to Deborah's free gift for us who are on live tonight. And what a wonderful gift it is as well, because it's a download that she's offering you, so that you can learn exactly how to start to write your own will. All right. And of course,
thank you very much.
Save the 40% inheritance tax that we all go, we do, right? Because it's not one of those things that we want to really be giving out at the end of our hard-earned career. All right. So thank you, everyone. I've got, let's see what we've got in the comments here. Brilliant. So if you are in the chat right now, I want you to, those of you who are on live, go in and you might want to copy and paste that code that you see in the chat, because this is the only time that you're going to be able to get it. So I'm going to just put that here right now. Okay. Just make sure that you do that right now as well, for those of you who are on the live. And Deborah, thank you very much for that.
Where's the code?
If you can see it there, it is in the actual Oh, bear with me, right? Okay, so she sent me a direct message. Okay, got it.
So there are
all right.
there are 2 people who will benefit from it.
Beautiful. Okie dokie. So I'm just going to download the other code. Don't worry, MJ, I know who's on. So if you haven't got it, then I will make sure that you get that. Just let me.
Thank you, because
I can feel you, my love. She's like, where's the code?
I'm trying to scratch my head and think, how do I get?
Okay, so. Okay, great. Got it. Okay, Deborah, I'll deal with that for you, my darling. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. And Clarence has also put in there, yes, I've got the code, inheritance tax. Brilliant. Okay, so listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight to the Tuition Tuesday Q&A and hot seat. So we've had a couple of questions come through about the subject matter tonight, which is really good. I've learned something I didn't know. MJ, I'm sure you, Beatrice and Clarence, I'm sure you've also learned something about, how to actually write your own will now, and of course, how to avoid that tax pitfall at the end of your business or your career, etc. And of course, for those of you who are tuning in sort of towards the end of our live tonight, we started out the session by talking about selling with soul. All right, so that was about how to turn your prospects into paying clients, and of course looking at how we could face those challenges, and also looking at how we could actually build our confidence and commit to change. So we talked about the mindset blocks and the barriers about selling, and that's what we tackled tonight. So next week when we come back for another session of Tuition Tuesday and a hot seat, is we're going to be talking all about knowing what your clients want and matching your offer to their needs. All right, so if you've enjoyed our session tonight, I want you to put a hashtag like the session in the comments, subscribe, and of course please do share. We're now hosting everything over on YouTube, so please do like the comments, share, and subscribe as well. And I want to just thank all of my guests, all of my people, my regulars, my hot seat regulars for tuning in tonight, and I look forward to actually connecting with you next week as well. All right, my lovelies, you take care. God bless. Have a fabulous week, and thank you so much, Deborah, MJ, Beatrice, and Clarence. Take care.
Thank you very much, Deborah. I haven't learned yet. It's like an appetizer, so I'm really now hungry to hear more. So I will get in touch and I'll get the book. So thank you very much. And thank you, Netty.
You are so welcome.